All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a little bit. Go ahead and let me know how the audio's doing, if everybody can hear us okay. This is our very first online info session, and we are testing things out, and we appreciate you being with us. Go ahead and post in the chat there if you can go ahead and hear us okay. Let us know if we need to speak up or turn things up for you. So I'll go ahead and hand things over to Dr. Hazen and let him give us a proper introduction.
Yeah, this is Michael Strasberg, by the way, our prospective student coordinator. I'm Craig Hazen from Biola Apologetics. Good to be with you. And Michael is right, this is a big-time experiment. So I think you're going to get some questions answered and things, but whether it all goes well or not, you might get to watch the implosion of the internet right here in front of your eyes. So we're going to have a good time doing this, and hopefully you'll throw some questions at us that we can answer, and maybe some we can't, and we'll go find some answers for you. So we'll have a good time this morning. Look forward to chatting with you a little bit more. Michael.
Fantastic. So first off, we wanted to, as I said, go ahead and welcome you here. If you haven't received an info packet from us and you'd like more information, we got a lot of great things in here. Some of the things we'll touch on throughout the info session, but there's some great articles from professors. Dr. Hazen's got a great one in here on youth leaving the church that he might mention later on. And then we also have some helpful things in here. We give you a free lecture that you can access online. And then there's also some helpful things just understanding how our distance program works. How is it formatted, which courses are offered online, and which ones are done in a hybrid model that can really help clarify things and show you kind of how flexible the program is. So if you haven't received one of those, I encourage you to reach out to us. You can email us at apologetics@biola.edu or go straight to our website, email me, and we can get one of those mailed out to you. So that's a really good resource that I'd recommend. We're going to go ahead and start off with a giveaway. We have a bunch of different resources here today. This first one, we got a few books here.
Well, you're giving that away?
Yes, yes. We're giving away Dr. Hazen's book, 5 Sacred Crossings, and I believe, are these signed copies? Yes, these are signed copies. Signed copies by Dr. Hazen. So, all right, so first question here that we'll rattle off here. It's getting hot here in Southern California. Let me know the temperature we got where you're at, and we'll go ahead and pick a winner. Based off of that, Adam, who's on staff with us and managing our chat, he is an alum of the MACA program, and he'll be helping monitor things there. We'll go ahead and pick a couple people from there and get some books sent out. So without further ado, Dr. Hazen, would you kind of give us a little bit of a feel for
So exactly how are you going to give away those wonderful books?
Yes, well,
you say is there a particular temperature you're going for?
Yes, there is, but I didn't want to let everybody know. Because, if somebody's like, oh, yeah, it's 150 degrees where I live. So Adam's going to go ahead and pick those, and you can kind of do that from there. Yeah.
You guys do good work. It's kind of weird talking to a machine like this. But I did practice talking to Adam Kazmierski earlier, and so it's kind of like talking to a machine. Just a little bit. My name is Craig Hazen. I'm actually the founder apologetics program here at Biola. We've been at this for 20 years, and as a little bit of an experiment, we thought we'd offer a graduate degree in Christian apologetics, a Master of Arts. And we didn't know how it would go. Well, it turned out there was a pretty big need for it. 20 years ago, we started out actually with a big set of students. I think it was 25 in number at the time, and we've grown to a student body in our master's program to nearly 300. And don't worry, there's plenty of room for you. We've learned how to scale this thing and grow it and bring in some wonderful new professors for you to have access to. So things have grown. But really the point there is that this apologetics business is a growth enterprise. There's no thought that this thing is going to max out anytime soon. So we actually need wonderful Christian thinkers and communicators to do the work of apologetics, which has by and large been lost today. And so that grieves me a little bit. My own background, again, I've been here for 20 years, running the program here at Biola. I'm the director. My doctoral work was in religious studies at the University of California in Santa Barbara. That was fun. You know, could you imagine a Jesus-loving, Bible-reading Christian in a hostile program like that? I got to tell you, I had more fun than I should have been allowed to have. And the reason I had fun is because I had already studied some good apologetics and Christian philosophy, so I could actually engage folks right off the bat and make a good case for Jesus and the Christian worldview at graduate student seminar tables all along the way. So that was great fun. What we're all about here in apologetics is doing important kingdom work. And this is very specialized training in that regard. I like to think about a particular scripture in this regard. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 through 5. I speak on this verse a lot because it really captures what I think apologetics is about in the modern world. Paul writes this in 2 Corinthians 10, verses 3 through 5. For though we live in the world, we do not wage war as the world does. The weapons we fight with are not the weapons of the world. On the contrary, these weapons have divine power to demolish strongholds. Now, boy, I don't know exactly what these weapons are yet, but whatever they are, I want a gun rack full of these things because these sound wonderful in terms of spiritual warfare. And this passage is normally thought of in terms of a spiritual warfare passage. And it is spiritual warfare, but it's not the kind that people normally think about. This is rather a powerful passage. Paul says there's this weaponry that we have, and they're not of the world. By the world, he simply means that they're not physical weapons like, grenades and harpoon missiles and spears and bows and arrows and such. These are spiritual weapons. They're non-physical weapons that have divine power to demolish strongholds. Now, he's teaching us a little bit because he's not telling us directly what these weapons are, but he tells us in a very solid indirect fashion in the very next verse. We demolish arguments, right? We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God. So he paints this picture as if God sits behind a particular barrier that needs to be brought down. And we have weaponry in order to bring that barrier down so that people can have what? Knowledge of God. So the weaponry he's talking about here are excellent Christian counter-arguments, the kind of thing the Apostle Paul was famous for. He traveled throughout the Mediterranean region, sets himself up in important centers of learning and in important crossroads, and gives people the business. The Greek word would be dialegomai, which really isn't dialogue. It's robust argumentation, right, for the resurrection of Jesus, his messiahship, and the Christian worldview. So he really gave them the goods. And so his arguments were tearing down those barriers that block people's knowledge of God. Now, this is really important. And this is why people need to be trained specially to do that, because so few people in the church know anything about this. So once you get a little bit of training, what we've discovered is people come after you in your own churches. Help me. Help my kids at home. They're learning some really crazy stuff in the public schools, and we need somebody to help explain it to us as parents and to our children and so on. And you become a go-to person in the church, Pastors simply don't have time to master all these issues that are coming down the pike so quickly and are so devastating to Christian ideas and Christian families. That's why we need you to learn this material. And probably the reason you're tuning in right now is because you felt that need and you felt the calling to address it. Maybe you love the world of ideas. You have kind of an intellectual calling. You love discussing these things and debating these things in a thoughtful and compassionate way. Well, that's why you're here, and we want to tell you this is the place if that's what you're feeling. So we want to tear down those barriers that block people's knowledge of God. One important manifestation of this in our day has been, and you've probably heard about this, the loss of young people in the church. And you've probably heard this in dramatic form on Christian radio or Christian television or Christian publications, and sometimes it seems a little overblown, and I want to say sometimes it probably is. But I think the studies have shown rather definitively now that we are definitely losing young people. Now, we don't know if they're going to turn around and come back in 30 years. You know, we haven't done the future study yet, but we know they've left. And they left in significant numbers. So that's an important fact to start with. The second question that follows on that is this. Why? Why are they leaving? Right? And so the studies have been done, and I think the answers are quite compelling and rather definitive. Students are leaving our churches because they don't think Christianity is true, because they don't think it's true. Now, there's other reasons associated with this, but the statistics now show that reason surpasses all of them by several orders of magnitude. It's because they really don't think this stuff is true. Well, there's a question that follows on that. How do we change that situation? How do we fix that problem and keep them in the church? Well, the studies have been done, and they've actually shown rather definitively that some good, solid apologetics training of young people. We don't know exactly how early it has to start, but we'll say it starts in grade school up through junior high and into high school. That actually does the trick. It's not just that students stay in the church when they hear good reasons to believe. It's not just that they stay in the church, it's that they're robust Christians. There are people, the studies show they pray more, they worship God more, they're more obedient, they just develop a Christian worldview and a Christian outlook on life, such that they want to serve the Lord Jesus Christ with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength. Now, that's pretty powerful. So if you're being called to apologetics, there's tremendous ministry value in this, and we've seen it happen over and over again. And the studies confirm what we're seeing. So that's all very important. There's another issue that we're facing today, and you're going to see this in your own church, too. It's just about the notion of faith. Unfortunately, in churches today, we have this strange notion of faith, which really equals blind leaping. That's the definition. If you were to really define faith for modern Christians and for modern secular people, faith equals blind leaping. You know, here's an example of this. Let me read this to you. It's a quote from an editorial piece by a guy named Bart Costco. Bart Costco is an engineering professor at the University of Southern California. And he's an atheist, and he was annoyed that there was some sort of government funding going on for faith-based organizations. And so he wanted to write an op-ed piece to show that that's a bad idea. And he starts his op-ed piece by helping I guess, Christians and the world understand what faith really is, because that's where we go to find out what faith is from an atheist engineering professor at USC. Here's what he writes. Check this out. Faith is unwarranted belief. Faith is belief without evidence or despite evidence to the contrary. Faith occurs when a person believes that something is true even though he suspects it's false. It takes large doses of such faith to support the very existence of casinos, psychic hotlines, astrology columns, mall Santas, and most organized religion. Really? I mean, is that what you signed up for? That's not what I signed up for. What we know from good biblical studies and good apologetics is that's not what faith is at all. I mean, you can blind leap into Christianity if you'd like. Right? You can do that all day long. But Christianity does not require that. Christianity is a religion that actually invites you to walk into it with your eyes wide open, asking hard questions all the way. That's why Paul wrote this passage in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 through 5. That's why Peter wrote his famous passage in 1 Peter 3:15. Be prepared always to give an answer, a reason for the hope that you have. Yet do so with humility and respect. That's what we're doing. We're fulfilling that important apostolic command and showing people that Christian faith is not equal to blind leaping. Christian faith is trusting. It's trusting Jesus to save you. And that trust in Jesus stands upon a mountain of excellent evidence and very good reasoning. And that's what we're all about. See, we have this little We have this little secret in our program, and I'll share it with you since you tuned in, okay? So here's the thing. Christianity's true. There, it's been said. We actually think it's true, and we think that all the facts of the world, both seen and unseen, actually back up Christianity. And we think that that forms a foundation upon which we are able to trust in Jesus. That's what our faith is. Our faith is trusting in Christ, and it's not opposed to knowledge. It's not the opposite of knowledge. It stands on a mountain of knowledge. So if you're interested in our Master of Arts degree in Christian apologetics, Master of Arts degree in Science and Religion, which focuses especially on scientific issues, or our certificate program, jump in. By the way, that certificate program that can be converted into Master of Arts academic credit, so it's a great way to start. Anyway, I could probably take up the entire hour just talking to you about this apologetics business. It's a growth industry, and we need you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Dr. Hazen. We'll go ahead and give the floor back to him a little bit later, because I'm sure you guys will have some great questions. I wanted to spend a little bit of time just giving you a better feel for our program and what it actually looks like. Feel free, as I'm talking through, this is a time for you guys, so if you have questions, go ahead and chat those in, and if I can, I'll get to them as I'm talking, or we'll get to them a little bit later in a Q&A. So I've been with the program now for about 5 years, and I've got to see a number of students check out the program, a number of students start the program, and a lot of students finish the program. And it's great to be able to see the diversity that's really occurred over the last few years. The diversity within student backgrounds. We have students all across the country and internationally who are doing our program with every different type of career, job, degree, with families and ministries, all sorts of different things. And each of those people brings a unique perspective to the program, that background, and it really creates kind of a body of Christ within this, apologetics training. That's what becomes really valuable, especially with our distance program. You're able to contribute that through online discussion, and then still have a condensed period of time on campus in the summer where you're here together with, close to 200 other, MA in Christian apologetics and MA in Science and Religion students, just encouraging one another, learning, being mentored, growing great relationships, and being able to grow closer to the Lord in the process. Earlier this week, we had sent out an email that we got from one of our current students, just sharing the blessing that the Lord's poured out onto his life in terms of opportunity with being able to just take his training and provide that into the church and essentially build himself into a pastoral position where he's focusing on apologetics and outreach. And those are the kind of things that are happening all the time now, where there's this very next practical step while you're a student and then upon graduation to really put put this training into practice, because we all know this is a vain pursuit if we're just trying to download data into our brain and not use it. We are called to take this knowledge and use it for the kingdom of Christ. So I get a lot of questions about. We do have one or two students from Thailand there. That's a good question. And we just had a bunch of our professors over in Singapore about a month or two ago. And they had a great time of apologetics ministry, doing different events and conferences over there as a side note. For our distance program, 39 units, you have the ability to take the flexible nature of an online program, fit that into your busy schedule. Most of our students are working professionals and have families. And then the key to this is this preparation time before you come on campus. You've done reading and online coursework. You've engaged the material, connected with fellow students and your professor. And then you're able to come in the summer. The last 2 weeks of June, we're preparing for it right now for summer residency. We have housing and meals, and it's kind of like, just a great great experience that all of our students really, really praise and really brings the whole program together. During that time, you get to connect with your faculty members, you get to get connected with different ministries, and have a lot of practical training. So do we have any, I see one question from Gabriel here asking if it's always at the end of June. Yes, historically it's always been the last 2 weeks in June for that summer residency in-person time. We do have different weekend seminars that are done throughout the year though, that are Friday, Saturday type classes where you're doing the online coursework ahead of time and then you're coming in person just for 2 days of lecture. And so that can provide some flexibility for the MA in Christian Apologetics to come in and take some elective classes. Because I know it's a struggle for some people with our busy lives, and you know, a lot of times it's like, oh, I don't get that much vacation time. I don't know if I can do that. You can go ahead and break that up and come out for smaller periods of time. Most of our students aren't full-time students taking 9 units a semester. They're part-time, so they're working on the degree, you know, at a 3, 4, 5 year type plan. So, let's see, do we have any other good questions that have come up? Other lecture events during the year. Yeah, so the best place at apologeticsevents.com or through our main website, you can see our upcoming events. We do those around the country, and then the weekend seminars are traditionally, we'll do 2 of those on campus every spring and every fall, and 1 in the summer. So we're getting ready to post those up shortly. If you're in the area, that's something that you can attend in person, and then we'll be trying to get more of that content recorded and sent out to prospective students like you. All right, well, let me go ahead and, okay, great question. All right, PhD. Yes, we do have a number of students who went on to pursue a PhD. It's a fully accredited MA degree that opens up a number of doors for further graduate work, and you are given the opportunity to do a thesis as part of the program, which is sometimes a requirement depending on the PhD program that you're pursuing. But we have had a lot of our graduates go on for continued study at great universities and be able to continue their training. Oh, okay, great question. What's the difference between the master's program and the certificate program? So the Master of Arts degree is a 39-unit fully accredited degree that does require an accredited bachelor's degree and a full kind of application process. The certificate program is fully online. It can be started at any point in time and is kind of a survey type class that gives you an initial foundation in a variety of topics in apologetics. It does not require an accredited bachelor's degree. Anybody can start taking that, but it can also be a stepping stone towards an MA in Christian Apologetics or an MA in Science and Religion by the coursework that you've completed, earning your certificate. You can then go on, you know, be accepted into either of the 2 MA programs and receive credit from the coursework that you've completed. You're able to earn up to 6 units towards the MA in Christian Apologetics or 2 units towards the MA in Science and Religion. And a lot of our students get their start with our certificate program. It's a very popular program. We got a good question about overseas students and visa requirements. That's a good question. Ben or anybody else who's an international student, I can talk with you more about that and go through those details. There's a page on our website for international students. Basically, as you go through the application process and you're accepted, Biola grants you an I-20, and then you do have to get a visa in order to come over for those 2 weeks. If it was up to us, we'd say just come on over, and we know you're going back. But because it's for school, that is a requirement for those 2 weeks, but we help walk you through that process. All right, do we have any other questions at this point? Do you have, oh, great question about the Science and Religion degree. Do you have to have a science degree to qualify for the for the MA in Science and Religion. So typically, most of our students do have a degree or background in the sciences, but that is a pretty wide range of degrees and backgrounds, just with how specialized science is today. There's not one expert who knows all of science and is able to be an expert in all those fields. So we have people from the traditional STEM sciences, we have people who have more of a math or statistics background or engineering, medical field, a variety of different fields like that. If that's really your passion and interest, we can certainly talk about that, and that doesn't prohibit you from applying. But we do want to make sure that people have an awareness of these issues. They've at least been, decently read on the topics that they're going to be diving into, so that it's not too technical for them. Cost per unit is $592 per unit, and it's a 39-unit degree. You can pursue that at any pace that you like. 9 units is full-time, and part-time is kind of anywhere in between. The only other helpful thing to know is if you are looking and planning on applying for financial aid, there's a 5-unit minimum for the FAFSA per semester. Okay, Jeff, why do these programs not fall under the Talbot School of Theology? Great question. Initially, when our program was created, it was a unique program, and it didn't fall under the unique specifications of the seminary, which would have required it to be a 60-plus unit degree and require a large amount of regular seminary and Bible classes, and it wouldn't be able to be as accessible. It wasn't able to be on as a distance program at that time because of accreditation, and it wouldn't have been able to be that lower units that's really giving that unique focus on apologetics. So that's why it's we're very closely associated with Talbot. We have a number of different professors who teach in different programs. But that's why we're technically in a different school.
Joe, question.
How many of us would be interested in a completely online version? Yeah, Joe, great question. And that's something that we're working towards right now. It's a very felt need. Right now we're sitting in a brand new studio that we've developed. We're just waiting on some of the final equipment for that, and that's going to be really utilized to take our program and offer additional, digital learning opportunities. I really want to emphasize that the hybrid nature of it and our summer residency is so critical to learning, and our students absolutely, if you can get here in any way possible, it is so worth it. Students are sad that they're graduating and they can't come back to summer residency because of the impact that it's had and the relationships that they built. We have probably 5 to 10 students every year or every semester who finish one degree, MA in Christian Apologetics or MA in Science and Religion. They come back and they start doing our second degree just because they want to be able to take all these classes. And so that's a real valuable part of that. But in addition, we realize that, the world's changing and it's difficult for a lot of people to get here. And so we are working towards that, and we'll be keeping everybody updated as we try to develop some type of, fully online option. But one thing to keep in mind is 19 of the 39 units are fully online without any in-person component. So especially for part-time students, that's a great place to start and begin working towards your degree. Even if you can't commit to coming out to campus for the next year or 2 years, there's still plenty of classes that you can start taking right now. I got a question from David real quick, and then we'll hit that next one, Adam. What is the cost for the 2-week summer session for room and board? Great question. So we have Biola-owned apartments that are on campus and just across the street. So really it's just a shuttle from the airport, and then everything's taken care of right there. It's about $150 or $160 a week. and then for the 2-week residency. And then there's a variety of different meal plans. It's about $4 to $5 a meal, and you can choose if you want to get 2 or 3 meals a day. And there is a full kitchen available in the apartments, so some people will grab some different groceries and snacks and do it that way. We have some different free lunches with panels of the professors and a bagel breakfast and different things like that, and it's a real great time. What was that other question? Adam, what was the other one you mentioned?
How often is Biola to study comparatively different? It's not far out. It's going up. There you go.
Okay. How open is Biola to study comparatively the different sides of science and theology? My concern is that studying in a Christian bubble could favor less discussion. Example for science, Darwinism, neo-Darwinism, and not only old Earth or young Earth creationism. Theology, Christian theology versus Bart Ehrman's view on the gospel, for example. Well, I can answer that, but Craig, would you like to take a stab? I think you might even, well, I know that you would be better qualified to answer that question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have a clue. I don't know. I do know something about that. Oh, no, for goodness sakes, we love those controversial issues, and we dive into them over and over again. So if the real meaty questions and topics are what you're interested in, that's what you'll be getting. It's not just some rehash of a popular level book that you read. It's top scholarly reading and interaction. So that's what you're going to be getting.
All right. Thanks, Craig. And I do know, just talking with Dr. Bloom for the Science and Religion program, is, every position is going to be outlined. And we understand that there's a variety of different views among atheists, agnostics, and Christians. And so we need to be aware of all of those and the evidence that is in support or, in contradiction of those. And so that really creates for a lively discussion. And we just had a lecture last night with Paul Nelson, one of the adjunct professors, and he was talking, and he kept emphasizing throughout his talk, science does not equal naturalism. And he kept saying it over and over and emphasizing that to a large group of undergrad students, and the impact that has on our society and the discussion of science. We get people who ask, how can you talk about science and religion? So which side are you on? Do you just talk from the Bible, or do you just talk from science? And the reality is it's not science that's against a Christian worldview. It's the interpretation of science. It's the naturalist view of that. And so we really do try to bring those two together.
Are the courses I took from the MA program 15 years ago expired?
Oh, wow. So we got someone from 15 years ago who was taking courses in the program. We would pull your transcript, but no, likely they're not expired. We might have to look at, the specific classes you took and whatnot, and see what you have left to complete the degree. But go ahead and email me directly, and I can talk with you about that and see if we can get you back and working towards completing your degree.
Question from Jason Hughes, up just a little bit.
All right, Jason has a good question here. Does the MA in Christian Apologetics allow a student to specialize their degree in counter-cult ministry? If not, how about the Talbot School of Theology? We have about 16 units of elective credit, so a good portion of the degree that's at the choice of the student. If you go online or look at one of our flyers, you can see we have a lot of different course options, especially when you consider that you can take classes from the Science and Religion program as well. That's a freebie there. That allows you to really kind of create your own emphasis or specialty. We want this degree to be practical to you. Everybody's going into a different type of ministry or calling, so we didn't want to give you a cookie cutter experience. So we do have people who will focus in on a particular specialty. Sometimes that's philosophy, sometimes it's different world religions or cults. We have classes on a variety of different religions and how to engage engage them effectively. We have classes on, demonology and the occult and a variety of different things that could be of great interest to you. And then additionally, we have a lot of our students who will set up an arranged course with a professor or do a thesis, do some unique study and really kind of continue to pioneer in what's out there and available. Transfer credits, yes, please. We'll accept up to 15 units of transfer credit from an accredited institution. So a lot of those classes, if you've done any type of seminary degree or Bible education, a lot of times Old Testament, New Testament, historical theology, Christian doctrine 1 and 2, hermeneutics, all of those are great classes that people might have taken previously. The last couple of years in particular, we've seen a big influx of pastors coming back for additional training. They've had their seminary degree, they might have an MDiv, and they're looking for some additional practical answers to these challenging questions that they can then feed directly into their church congregation. A list of books. We don't put out a list of books for all of the different classes that are available for our classes. We do have a web store that features some of those different books and other lectures that's available online. If you're curious about a particular class and you're trying to look to see, what it would entail and what it would be like to be in the program, you can contact me and I can send you a sample of what a syllabi would look like. Any other good questions here?
With my Talbot credits for Talbot MDiv program 30 years ago.
Yes, so Talbot, 30 years ago. Yes, my dad pretty much did that and did his MDiv at Talbot, and then did his DMin, DPS, and then 25 years later came back and did his apologetics degree. So yes, Biola still has your transcript. It might be in the basement, but we'll dig it up and you can transfer 15 of those units, which really allows you to just say, hey, I've already done this biblical training. I got it. All right, now give me these 24 units of specialized apologetics training. You can get to the meat of it really quickly and start applying that right away. Are we required to purchase books, or are all of the readings available online? Typically, there are maybe 2 or 3 books for each class that you might have to purchase. There are some classes that might not require a book or would have software or some additional resources online. A lot of the books are commonly available, so we got people living all over the place. A lot of times people will buy things on Amazon or download them, and or you can get those directly from the university. Are there any instructors that have a Buddhist background? Dr. Craig, or Dr. Hazen, do you know?
Well, we suspect several. Not a practicing Buddhist background, but I did my doctoral work in religious studies, and one of my areas of concentration was Buddhism, so I could probably guide a thesis or an independent study project or a special course on that topic, but we don't have any people with a Buddhist background in our program. But we know people. There's some actually wonderful Christian resources in Southern California who have backgrounds in Buddhism and could actually teach a specialized course for us. But I'm glad about your interest in that, and we'd certainly be able to take care of some of that, but we don't have any converts in our faculty.
Yeah, and that's a great topic for our weekend seminars. Just within this past year, we've done one on Islam and Mormonism, and so we do try to tackle every semester a different world religion and how we can use apologetics to practically reach out to those people. And then another great question here that I think Dr. Hazen can aptly address is who's teaching, the professors or teaching assistants?
Yeah. Oh, what do you think? It's our professors. This is a graduate program. We do not relegate anything to teaching assistants. They do have some assistants who help them with various parts of their work, but it's the faculty who are actually teaching the classes. So if you had one of those strange undergraduate experiences where you actually never met the professor of record of the course because you were always interacting with teaching assistants, that will not be the case in this program. You'll have robust and regular contact with all the faculty.
Yeah. And that's one of the engaging parts of it, is you get to build these relationships over a long period of time, because online you're interacting with this professor and they're guiding your discussion along with other students online, and you're getting into the meat of things and tearing into the content and getting to know that person, and then you get to meet them in person and then receive lecture from them and continue to kind of build these bonds. So there's a lot of continuity.
Yes, financial aid for Canadian students, but maybe just in general, financial aid.
Yeah, financial aid, great question. So I mentioned, though, just briefly on that, 5 units is usually a minimum to apply for the FAFSA. That is just available for U.S. citizens, unfortunately, and is a process that you start going to FAFSA.gov. Type in FAFSA. And you're able to go through that process and see what you're eligible for. But all students, including international students, are eligible for our new student department scholarship, Act 17 scholarship, and that's we just increased that from $1,000 to $1,200, and that's available to any new student each semester, and you can go ahead and apply there. At the bottom of the admissions page on our program, there's information on units and tuition and financial aid that you can find some resources there.
Good question for Craig, up a little bit.
Which one? Oh, Dr. Hazen. Okay. Joshua Lee, Craig, he's asking, he says, I would like to one day teach apologetics. Oh, keeps updating, at the university level or even higher. However, I did some research where some scholars suggest a PhD in apologetics may not be necessary. What are your thoughts?
Well, I like that question a lot. Apologetics is a multidisciplinary program. Now, our faculty happens to be mostly people who've studied apologetics, but not all. Scott Smith did his PhD in religion and social ethics at USC, for instance. And Kevin Lewis is mainly focused on theology. My background was in religious studies. So we actually were bringing all kinds of disciplines in. However, a guy like Sean McDowell, who actually did a PhD in apologetics, is a tremendous contributor to our program. Here's what people think sometimes. If you want to teach apologetics at the graduate level, all right, now there's many more jobs at the undergraduate level and in high schools and various other teaching forms. But if you want to teach at the graduate level, some people think that really what you need is a person who specializes in New Testament or specializes in comparative religions or specializes in ancient history coming together as the faculty for an interdisciplinary program. That would be very helpful, but everything really depends on who's available and what their training is and what their area of research is. We have Sean McDowell because he's a great general apologist, but really did a marvelous dissertation focused on the fate of the apostles, which was a first-rank study in ancient history. But he's much broader than that. So I think you'd be considered for jobs if you had a PhD in the field of apologetics. So it's a great trajectory. If you want to teach in apologetics, I think you can actually do a Master of Arts degree in apologetics and some PhD related to that field. It would make you very marketable. We'd like to see such resumes coming in. There are very few people with that kind of training, though. So you would be a unique person on the job market.
Any specialized software needed for online, or is that provided by Biola? Great question. We use Canvas Educational Learning Platform, similar to Blackboard, if anybody's used that, used by a number of different universities, and that's all provided. So you're given an account, and from there you can access a variety of your classes, your syllabi, interact with the professor, and everything's conducted right in there. So you can just log in from any type of a web browser, and you don't even need any type of special downloadable software. And it does work just as good with PC or Mac. What about a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology along with the MA in apologetics?
Yeah. We've got, we actually have one of our graduates in apologetics has a PhD in biochemistry and molecular biology, and he ended up getting a job in our science faculty here at Biola University. So he's a brilliant scientist doing wonderful research who has such amazing background also in apologetics. So he's kind of a full-orb Christian scholar. And we recommend that for so many people, and a lot of people are taking advantage of this. They'll come to the MA program and do a degree in apologetics and then go off into a different area of study like English literature or history or art history or chemistry or biochemistry. And what it does is it gives you all the tools in apologetics to really master your field for the kingdom. In other words, if there's nobody really in art history making a wonderful case for cultural apologetics, if you study in our program and then go on and do graduate work in art history, you'll be very well prepared to do that. So it's been an academic pathway that many of our students have chosen. Do the MA in apologetics and then go off into their field of final academic research and writing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Craig. I wanted to take just a quick break and go ahead and raffle off something cool and give you a little bit of information, and then we'll continue to take questions. We have, for our fall semester, which begins August 26th, we have an early application deadline of June 1st. If anyone is potentially looking at starting in the fall and would like to investigate that, and encourage you to go ahead and do that and go to biola.edu/apply. We're going to be giving away this wonderful set of Dr. William Lane Craig's best debates. There's 12 different debates on here, all high quality interviews with Dr. Craig and his opponents. It's like a $180 set. So we're going to be giving that away to one of the people who applies early, but we are also going to give one away today to one of you who's online. So, all right, my question is, we're going to go with the first person to chat in the year that Biola University was founded. All right, I'm watching the chat. Nope. Sorry, Colin. Nope. A little bit older. Oh, Melanie, is that Melanie? 1908? Was she the first one? Yep. All right, Melanie. Nope. Sorry there.
Yep, the internet just blew up.
Yep.
I don't know when that happens.
Oh. Sorry about that. I was looking at the chat and guess my finger wanted to mess things up. But thank you, Melanie. You were the first one to put in 1908. This set will be mailed out to you. You can private message Adam Kazmierski, and he'll get that set up, get your address from you so we can get that sent out to you. But as a reminder, anybody who's applying early by June 1st, we're going to send out another set to one of the lucky people who applies early, as well as a free lecture from our faculty to everybody who applies, and gets that started. As I mentioned, you know, our fall semester starts on August 26th. We have more students who start in the fall than in the spring. In that packet, I had shown you a course schedule. This is a helpful tool, and we can attach this a little bit later to send it to you. To look at, you'll notice that up at the top section, it shows all 19 units that are fully online classes. These are great classes. If you're starting in the fall semester, you're able to hop into those classes, get a feel for the program and the workload, and not be committed, initially to come on campus. In the spring semester, then you could begin some of the 3-part classes that do have a residency or on-campus component to them. But there's plenty of classes that you have access to for beginning in the fall semester. So keep that in mind as you're looking at things. And then I wanted to let you know about a couple other opportunities that we have coming on. we have, as I mentioned, Paul Nelson was here on campus and gave a lecture last night. He's going to be giving another lecture today in just a little while, actually at 1:30, from about 1:30 to 2:50. He'll be lecturing. We're going to be live streaming that on Facebook. And he's going to be discussing the DNA relationship between chimps and humans and looking into some recent research on that from the standpoint of biology. So that'll be a great opportunity, and then there'll be another Q&A session with Dr. Nelson and the academic director of our MA in Science and Religion program, John Bloom. He's got his PhD in physics and ancient Near East studies. So that'll be an open Q&A time that you can engage in this Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time again. So let me know if you have any other questions about those. The details is on our Facebook page, but just another opportunity for you to engage and connect with some of the things that we have going on here at Biola. I'm going to have Adam at the very end here put in a coupon code from our department for your application fee. Typically when you apply online, there's a $65 application fee. We're going to go ahead and take care of $40 of that, which brings that down to $25. So if anybody's looking at applying, that'll help you get started and begin that application process. One thing that I didn't talk about, and I'm sure we'll have questions on, is application process. What does that entail? As I mentioned, you do need an accredited bachelor's degree. Does not matter if it's in Bible, art, business, nursing, anything that you studied is sufficient in that regard. So we do have you send over your transcripts. There's a Christian testimony that you write up after you've read through Biola's doctrinal statement. We have you share just kind of your personal testimony. And then lastly, there's 2 recommendations that are done online. One is a character recommendation, someone who knows you well but isn't a family member. And then the second is a pastor recommendation. Typically, that's the lead pastor at your church. We understand that sometimes people move or you attend a church that has 10,000 people, and Rick Warren's like, who are you? And I don't have time to sign your pastor recommendation. So let us know if that's an issue, and we can have somebody else who's in leadership at your church complete that for you. We just really want to see that you're connected at a home church, and it's more important to have somebody who knows you well than somebody who's officially the head person at the church but doesn't know who you are. So let me know if you have any other questions here on the application side of things, or any additional questions for myself or Dr. Hazen. Oh, James. Yeah, James, go ahead and send me just like an email directly, and I'll go ahead and connect with you, and we can figure out that application fee for you, since you already did that. But glad that you submitted your application, and we can work through with you to get that completed and get you accepted. That's great. Any additional questions that I missed here? Applying means creating an account or paying the credit fees already. So Igor asked that. Basically, if you go to biola.edu/apply, you'll create an account, and then you'll complete the online application. It probably takes about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And the last step of that is paying the application fee, which if you use the code APOL25, APOL25, that'll bring that down from $65 to $25. Once you've done that, you've submitted your online application. Then after that, that counts as submitting your application by the June 1st early app deadline. And then you can work on the supplemental items like transcripts, recommendations, and your Christian testimony. Okay, Adam said to look at Gabriel here. If I am able to transfer 15 units from a seminary degree and I am completing the 6 units from the certificate program, would I be able to complete the MA 18 units remaining in 1 year? We would have to, it would depend on the classes that you're transferring in. Units-wise, your math adds up. And you can bring in 6 units from the certificate program as elective credit and transfer in up to 15 units. It would just likely depend on when those classes are offered, and we can walk through that process with you. Great question, though. Colin, if I am already a distance certificate student, would I need to apply again with the fee to the master's program? Yes, so they are two separate programs and separate application processes. The certificate program is a simple registration form, and there's no fee, transcripts, recommendations, or anything like that. So if you do decide that you want to apply to the master's program, you do have to go through that application process because it does have the additional requirements. We'll keep all your grades on file from the certificate program, though, and then anytime you're a student, you could sign up for those classes, and then that's when you're able to receive the actual MA credit towards your degree. Good question. All right, so somebody asked about emailing directly. Adam, go ahead and put my email address out there, and I'll have Adam put in my phone number as well. We'll send a follow-up email so that everybody can get the different links that we posted throughout here. Herman, like a lot of people, I have a full-time job and family. I am busy with the certificate program at the moment. If I would like to complete the MA in 4 years, what would the average amount of time commitment be, daily and weekly, for studies? Well, if you were going at a 4-year pace, that would put you at about 4.5, maybe about 4 or 5 units a semester. And so that'd be a part-time, kind of half-time load. The good average that we give out is kind of a 2 to 4 hours per week that you're spending per unit that you've signed up for. Now, some of those classes aren't offered at the same exact time, and they're spread out at different times throughout the semester, which alleviates that and makes it even more flexible. So you're able to sign up for classes, one class that meets for the first 7 weeks and another class that meets for the second 7 weeks of the semester. But you would be looking at about 8 to 15, 8 to 16 hours a week of coursework. The spring semester is a lot more of the reading and discussion, and the fall semester is a lot more of the actual coursework and writing of papers for your classes. But again, I can send you a sample syllabi and we can talk specifically about that because we have a lot of people in your situation, and that's why we have an academic advisor. Megan Strickland and Laura Walton are our 2 excellent academic advisors, and they work with every single student to help them every semester all the way through until graduation. So you're not alone on this. We don't get you in and then say, all right, good luck, figure it out. They're there to advise you on new classes, course formats, and making sure that you're working towards your degree. When will I get the application result? Once you've completed your full application file, including those supplemental items, and your application's complete, usually graduate admissions gets back to you within 1 to 2 weeks. It's a pretty quick turnaround, and then you're able to really just kind of plan for the semester and work with your academic advisor to look at class options and figure out, the financial side of things. How many hours is the certificate program? The certificate program is self-paced, but there are 3 courses, and there are 8 lectures for each course that are about 2 to 3 hours long. So if you just kind of roughly, said about 25 hours for each course, just for listening through those lectures, and then there is time for you to take notes and do the quiz. And so some people, that's all they're doing, and they go straight through it in a month. Other people take a year or 2. It just depends on what time you have to allot to it, but it's flexible in the fact that you can listen to it anywhere that you like. You can download that onto your computer, your iPhone, your iPad, and listen to that when it's convenient for you, so that you're still receiving some initial apologetics training as you go through. We are getting close here to 12 o'clock. I do want to go ahead and give away one more thing, and then I wanted to just give an open invitation that if anybody wants to stay on, we're going to keep this open and continue to take questions for a short period of time. So if anybody does need to leave, I understand you got schedules and work and other obligations, and we thank you for being here with us, but we will stay on so that we can answer. I see 5 other questions here at the bottom that I haven't got to yet, and I'd like to get to those. We have a few other little giveaways here. And we're going to go ahead and give one of these away to the person who can give what I think is the Bible verse most often cited for the need and call for apologetics.
Have to go to the all text.
Oh, wow. Good job. Everybody was thinking on the same line. Gabriel. Quick draw. All right, Gabriel, we got a great lecture thing here. I'm going to hand this to Adam so he can put Gabriel on that. This is a great DVD set of a bunch of our different professors giving different talks at events that you will enjoy. And then we are, all right, one more here for the original acronym of Biola. Give me the original acronym of what Biola stands for. In the group chat, I'll give away one more of these. Is that Herman? All right, Herman Lorenz, Biblical Institute of Los Angeles. In 1908, Biola was founded in Los Angeles. Around the 50s or 60s, we moved over to La Mirada and were able to kind of become a full-fledged university. But back then, it was the Biblical Institute of Los Angeles. Pretty cool. All right. Yes, Adam, the MA degree is harder than these softballs. We're not making you work hard to get some free resources here. We want to get these into your hands, and we'll probably send out a few of these extra ones to some people who had some great questions with us. But we did want to just officially wrap things up and thank everybody. I'll let Craig kind of say an official, thank you and goodbye.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Just a couple of things that I think have highlighted this program over the years. It's a top-ranked program. It's affordable. You don't have to relocate. We were one of the first distance programs on the planet doing apologetics, so we've been doing this quite a while. We've gotten it down pretty well. It's convenient. It's comprehensive in that we give you everything you need in order to do the degree. If you have a background in engineering or accounting or nursing or physical education, we'll give you everything you need in New Testament, Old Testament, biblical interpretation, and a whole range of apologetic subjects to make a nuisance of yourself for Jesus in a whole bunch of new ways. So we'll give you everything you need. It's stimulating, and it's very practical and supportive. You'd be very surprised to find out how many of our own students and graduates we partner with to do major apologetic events across the country. In fact, if there's anybody watching who wants to do an apologetics event at your church, just contact our website. You can find a form there to actually make a request for that. And we'll do our very best to put something big on for you. And we love to see great apologists come to town, but then when we leave, we want to leave you behind to help answer the tough questions that are generated. So consider that. We'd be delighted to partner with you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, everybody. For those who are still staying on, let me see what other kind of questions we got here. James, I'll go ahead and connect with you personally on that. And let's see, what did I miss here, Adam? I got to scroll through all of the Biblical Institute of Los Angeles chat here and try to catch up with any other good questions here.
How long do you have to finish once you've started?
Oh, great question. The length of the program. So although you can finish in as early as 2 or 2.5 years, it really is kind of self-paced depending on you. Biola's registrar officially says 7 years, and we haven't really had students who have, capped out with that. That's something that you can easily get extended if, you had different circumstances and you're still working towards your degree. But there's plenty of time for you to work through that at your own pace. Mm-hmm. All right. Feel free to go ahead and repeat a question that I didn't get to. I'm trying to scroll up through some of the other questions, but let me know if I didn't get to one.
Here's one. Are there any?
Okay, question for a friend from Gabriel who could not join today. Are there any provisions for a potential student who has some undergraduate education from a Bible college but did not complete a bachelor's degree to still complete the MA if she's able to successfully complete the certificate program? It would depend on the circumstance. Right now, the bachelor's degree is required. Every once in a while, if they were super close to graduating and have completed enough units, that might be a possibility. The certificate program wouldn't officially add anything to that process, but that's something that they can reach out and connect with me individually on. We can talk with graduate admissions on that. Can I use the discount to apply before December 31st? The application discount code, yeah, you can use that at any point. If you wanted to begin in the fall semester, you'd need to do that by July 1st, which is the main application deadline. But if you're looking to apply in and towards the spring semester, which starts late January, you could do that all the way up until December. I recommend starting the online part as early as possible, just to get that started, so you can be working on the additional supplemental items. We're not making some binding commitment. We understand, we're adult students, and that you're not able to foresee everything. So a lot of times somebody might start the process and be unable to start in the upcoming semester. You just notify us, and then we can move your application or acceptance over to the next semester. We want you to be successful, and so sometimes that means waiting a little bit, and that's where prayer kind of comes into your decision. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and close things up, but feel free to contact me individually if you want to ask any additional questions. My contact info is in there, or we can go ahead and set up a phone call. Thank you so much. God bless.